speaking of donations, I hear that there's another blogger out there that may be needing some donations.
Donations. Okay. We talk about Tasha K. Well, we talked about her a couple episodes ago. Well, if you didn't already know, she lost the case with Cardi B. She lost big time. I mean, $3 million. Because the first it was 1.25 million, and then like they tacked on more payments and stuff like that, so it went up to like about 3 million. But she promised to fight her 3 million court loss with Cardi B this week. In a statement Wednesday, she railed against the machine and corporate interests while gassing up her own media company. Okay, now she got on this 12-minute video. And she basically said, this is in quotes, these last 4 years fighting this conspiracy case have been extremely challenging. The verdict handed down on Monday was no shock to myself, my husband, and my legal team. We called bluff against a machine that wanted to bully me for not wavering my personal beliefs, a machine that was corporate interests to protect prostitution, drugs, and glorify the violence that wreaks havoc in our society and our neighborhood. She got real Candace Owens right there.
Right.
What is this? I mean, later in that video, she also talked about how she does not regret anything she said, and would do it again if if she had to another go around. You know, I'm gonna just say some word. It's given a lack of accountability. I know I use that a lot, but that's kind of the case here, because it's like all that you said in that video sounds good on paper, but when we get into the meat and potatoes of what you actually said, not only was the whole herpes thing a thing, because someone one of my mutuals on YouTube had to tell me, he's like, no, people is so fixated on the herpes thing. You were talking about her family. You was talking about her dad. You were saying that he was a alleged R word. Okay, that's. I mean, it's proven that if it's not true, that's defamation. That is the definition of a defamation. And the fact that case, like a defamation case, is hard to prove. First of all, I never knew that, but like the fact that you lost is. What do you think, Derek? Because I think I'm spiraling.
I think that, like I said, this case could set precedent for how bloggers do their business. And I think that it is a lesson in how you cover yourself. Cover is having your receipts, having your sources, and I think that there were some things that she said. There were some things that she said in her statement that I do kind of agree with. Not the Candace Owens side. Everybody has freedom of speech. I think that's, for any journalist who gets caught up in a defamation lawsuit, that's the first thing you can depend on, is that I have a right to say whatever I want to say. And, that's true to an extent. Like you can't say something that is literally demoralizing of someone's character, especially if you cannot prove it with fact. And I think that one of the real hinges on this case was the fact that you attack someone's health status, which is an invasion of privacy. Courtesy of like HIPAA laws, you violated a law disclosing someone's health status, and then you were wrong for that part. You lost. Everything else, I don't care what you say about anything else. The your opinion of me and all that stuff. You spoke on my health, which is a private issue. You were wrong, and even if you did have access to that information and you were right, you would still lose, right? Because it's a violation of federal law for you to disclose anyone's health.
Invasion of privacy.
It could have been anything. It could have been diabetes. It could have been HIV. It could have been, she had a common cold. Doesn't matter. You are not allowed to disclose anything about someone else's health.
But see, she's used to doing that because she did it with Bobby Light. She said Bobby Light had dirty blood. We all know what that means. And that has some real undertones. We'll get into.
I'm surprised that he didn't sue her for that.
It's and to see that there's a video that, like, I didn't even see the video, but like basically the video that lost her the case of you saying, yeah, I did that shit. Yeah, I lied. I did that despite you.
That's the video she used. I mean,
that's the video they used. Like it was. I mean, they got her.
she told on
You thought
herself.
somebody wasn't going to screenshot, screen record, and come on now, we got receipts of you saying that you lied. So this is far beyond like they're not letting me tell my story as the news, as a journalist, the freedom of speech. No, don't play those cards, because they was playing all these type of cards, talking about these corporate giants is coming for this one person, this, that, and the third. Let me tell you something about Tasha K. Tasha K is not. She ain't rich like Cardi or anything like that, but like, come on now. Tasha K is not a regular person. She is a influencer. She has over 1 million subscribers on YouTube, 100,000 views on a YouTube video. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, regardless of how much money she has, I think like I said, this case will set precedent on how bloggers, celebrity bloggers, do their reporting. And, I'm gonna say tiptoe, but even in her video, she was named up. She's like, media outlets, name check me. They use me as a source, right? But even still, like, yes, they may, but you were wrong. What you did was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day,
it's like, how do you not like?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's like, are you going to fight for it? Are you going to fight it? You're going to appeal it?
She said she's gonna fight. They said they're prepared to fight in the appeal. And good luck, girl. But
not good luck, girl.
What I'm waiting to see is how the platforms are going to respond to this case, because it very well could be easily said that, okay, well, spaces like YouTube or even our podcasts, streaming apps, create platforms for people to spread misinformation or defamation against these public figures, and one of the penalties could very well be her getting kicked off our platform.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying? There was a case earlier this week. I think Neil Young was trying to get Joe Rogan kicked off Spotify for spreading misinformation about COVID or the election or things like that. But these corporations, these platforms make a lot of money, right? Mm-hmm. And YouTube and Vivo, like, they house these artists like Cardi B, and they make their money off of them too. So it's like, listen, if we got to trade a commentator who has like 100,000 views per video or has 1 million followers versus a mainstream artist who's pulling in 300 million views in a week for one music video, or has almost nearly 1 billion followers, like, we're going to choose the person that's making us more of the money. Mm-hmm. Right? So, like I said, it sets a precedent on how we do our reporting, making sure that we are being as ethical as possible when reporting on these celebrities, while also protecting ourselves from misinformation and not being spiteful, right? Like, as a journalist, it shouldn't be to harm. Like, you don't have to harm them. If you share news, you just share the news. This is what I heard based on the source that I have, and this is alleged. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And we're just talking about it. We're going to have a conversation. What is the nuance of this conversation, as opposed to attacking the individual that it's about? Let's talk about this subject, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that she would have been better off doing it that way, as opposed to trying to be, trying to create some type of punitive space for Cardi B, or even if her platform is saying, the industry's glorifying drug use and prostitution and blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, if you're saying that about Cardi B, then what are you saying about the City Girls, whose every song is talking about scamming people?
You know because I mean? it turned into some kind of conservative type speech, like girl was talking about, oh yeah, well, you condoning this and the kids and this, that, and so I'm like, what?
I'm like, but you listen to the music
and the stuff in the way your mouth, the way your mouth is set up, you ain't for kids either. Whoop.
Child.
So sis, what do you do? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? You're trying to find any type of scapegoat that you can, and the most recent one was the whole thing of, oh, she's, black women. I'm like, look, let me tell you something. Stuff like that is real. You get what I'm saying when it comes to microaggressions with black women and stuff like that, and Latin. But that was not the case here.
Yeah, but I'm not saying she was wrong with what she did. I will not say that she was wrong how she feels. I think that the industry does. There are some negative stereotypes that are profitable, that we continue to portray because it sells. Sex sells, right? Mm-hmm. And there's this thing where you have female artists who are about empowerment and want to there are two sides of feminism where it's like, okay, well, I can be a strong woman without having to showcase my body, or I can express my femininity in a different way about being a boss, or being a good mother, or being a dedicated wife, and showing my femininity in that way. While there are other women who are saying, yeah, I can do all those things and I can feel sexy and I can take ownership of my sexuality and I can talk about, using these men the way they use us. So there are different ways to share that message. I think it was a misstep for her to go on this whole thing about, stereotypes in our society and blah, blah, blah. Okay, girl, they're always going to be here. Sex is the oldest, and sex work is the oldest profession in human existence. Once bitches found out that niggas were willing to give up their house, family, cars, caves, legs for some hoochie, honey, that's a job. All right. So that's a losing battle. People gonna do what they want to do with their sexuality, and y'all kids gonna grow up to have sex. Otherwise, we're not gonna have any more humans. So get over it. But she was wrong for what she did. The courts felt that she was wrong, and it's going to be an uphill battle for her in the appellate courts to appeal this decision. Not sure how much she's going to actually have to pay in this settlement if she's going to settle the case. But it was a major win for Cardi B. It was a major win for artists who don't want to be defamed by blogs. And it's definitely going to be a lesson for those of us who are in the celebrity news space on how we cover these celebrities, what we say, and the motive behind what we're sharing and reporting.
And get that Associate Press style book. Okay, let me tell you something. That's the first thing I got when I took one of my first journalism classes. Mm-hmm. Okay, you get that style book, you read that thing. Okay, you don't got to read everything. Anything that you have a question with, you look it up. It's like a dictionary almost. Mm-hmm. A lot of the stuff could have been alleviated with that. Now, people get these microphones. I've been saying this. People get these microphones, these cameras, these fancy shows, and they say anything, and they think they can say anything because public figures. We can talk about celebrities like they're public figures or whatever. But like, no, it's with consequence. Okay,
yeah.
We will see what happens. Okay,
it's gonna be interesting.
Right,
it's definitely gonna be interesting to see.